I want to share with you what is arguably the most practical strategy to boost your self-confidence and maintain it over time. I call this acknowledging and celebrating small wins. Promotions or landing that new client or making that big play in sport, those are big wins. It's easy to feed off of that. But it's the smaller wins that we need to identify a little bit more that really makes the difference. Let me give you an example. So a few years back, I was working with this pro hockey player that he wanted to score more goals for the upcoming season. And this guy scored about 10 goals a year and he wanted to double that. So I asked him, I said, well, how do you feed your self-confidence? Because you're going to have to believe more in your skill set during the year, game over game if you want to score more goals. And he said, well, I feed my self-confidence from scoring goals. And I said, well, that's not enough because 10 goals a year, that's about only once every 3 weeks. We're going to have to find things that happen every single game that you can pick out and fuel from that. So we came up with a list of about 25 things, such as blocking a shot, making a nice defensive play, listening to the coach's feedback, back checking, which are all little things that happen basically every game. And because they were written down and you would actually read those often, it was easy to acknowledge them and then to celebrate them. Well, surprise, surprise, that year he had a career year. He didn't score 20, he scored 18. And about mid-season, his coach told him when he had scored about 10, 11 goals already, he said, hey, you're on fire this year. And he said, yeah, well, that was the goal. And the reason he said that to his coach is because I often use the metaphor of a fire and how we feed a fire to explain how this works. There's two ways you can feed a fire. You can feed it big logs once in a while so the fire dies down and then you put a log and it's like gives a big fire, small fire, big fire, small fire, which is not very practical, right? The second way, which is the best way to feed a fire, is it's going to go down over time, right? So you get ready, you bring some little twigs and leaves and you put it in regularly so that fire stays nice and big. And you can actually add a lot at one particular point to make it bigger. You don't need to wait for the flame to go down, right? So this is how it works basically. There is nothing too small that you can't celebrate. Like that dead leaf that the fire will take to burn, small wins will make an impact. 2, we fuel on accomplishments as human beings. So some people might think small wins, acknowledging that is like arrogant or cocky. It's not cocky or arrogant, it's actually being intelligent because we fuel off of them. When was the last time you did something right and someone told you that you did something right and you didn't like that, right? And 3, they add up. A series of small wins are actually more powerful than big wins. So think about in the workplace how you can celebrate these small wins. Someone says thank you for your help, showing up on time for a meeting, handing in something on time, even if it's something small. Sometimes we kind of brush it off. Acknowledge it and celebrate it. We are so good at catching ourselves being bad to criticize ourselves. Start catching yourself being good.